Nate
Please
Diaz is the lightest and worst puncher I've ever fought.
I'm not working for fucking MVP like all these other motherfuckers are.
I never say the word retarded. I think it's like super offensive. I would never say it. When you see someone that's retarded, like it's just hard to like comprehend what they're saying. I don't address stupidity. I want Nate in MMA. I just don't have enough money. I think it's gonna happen though. If he beats Perry, me versus Nate is probably the #1 thing on the list.
Do you think he could beat Perry?
I think he will. Yeah.
They're just such both unique guys, and they
Yeah,
kind
no,
of
like,
they do
what's the-
things their own way.
What's the program you have with the charity?
Parents of autistic children giving them like a day off.
That's why this fight is awesome. Is like their parents are both gonna get hella days off.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I mean, I don't see it, but yeah, I think
Do
they
you
got
think smart?
I think they got the toughest tism that there exists.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish I had that touch gloves tism. You know, that's what I want, dude.
If they were starting a company, would you invest in it?
Come on, bro. That's crazy, bro. That's a crazy thing to ask somebody and during the daytime.
Bro, I'm pretty sure it's like 6.
If it were like a dog catching business, bro,
Or brain
Hands-
rejuvenation business.
yeah, dude. If it's like, doing taxes, nah. If it's your money back from somebody down the street business, then take my money, fellas. You got it. I'm in, dude.
Hey guys, so Jake Paul's in the headlines again. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz rematch could possibly happen again after the Ronda Rousey comeback. And it could be happening on Netflix for all we know, guys. But yeah, and we may not even be boxing. We might be talking about an MMA fight, which is even more crazier. And this isn't just a rumor anymore, guys. This could actually show, actually reshape how fights are promoted going forward. So very, very interesting stuff. But anyways, let's talk about it, guys. Welcome to Duality 7X. Welcome. I'm your host, Shiraz. And let's talk Jake Paul, guys. Let's talk Nate Diaz, because this story is not just about Jake Paul chasing Nate Diaz again, because last time these guys fought was in a boxing ring, but it's about Netflix stepping deeper into combat sports and possibly changing who really runs the business. And I think Netflix would love to see these guys fight again, but this time in the cage. And I think Jake Paul's open to that as well too. And there's one key detail here that I think a lot of people are missing. And if this fight actually happens, it could open up a whole new lane in MMA that the UFC doesn't actually control. This is interesting, guys. Just imagine, okay, Jake Paul, Nate Diaz in an octagon. So here's what we know. Here's a little bit of context. Jake Paul is pushing hard for an MMA rematch with Nate Diaz. I mean, these guys already fought. I already alluded to this. They fought in a boxing match back in 2023, and Jake Paul won that clearly. But now the plan is different. We're talking about a full MMA fight, possibly headlining a Netflix event under Jake Paul's company, Most Valuable Promotions, and this wouldn't be any kind of random event either, because Netflix, with Netflix behind this, I mean, they've already been building something very, very special in combat sports. I mean, these guys have done Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, massive numbers. You got Taylor versus Serrano, 3 even major crossover fights involving names like Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. So this isn't just a one-off, guys. I mean, this is what we refer to as pure strategy. From a business perspective, this is unbelievable, because I mean, I remember Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. I mean, that was crazy. But I mean, Nate Diaz, Jake Paul, and then part 2 this time in an octagon. That'd be absolutely pure entertainment. So Netflix is starting with MMA. You're starting with Ronda Rousey's comeback against Gina Carano. That's coming up. That's a huge, huge headline all to its own. Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano. Not enough people are talking about this, but behind the scenes, they're already thinking about what comes next, right? What comes next? And Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz 2, MMA. I mean, guys, this is right there, right on the table. That's a built-in storyline altogether. Look, Nate Diaz has already called out Jake to fight in the MMA or fight an MMA fight. Jake's response was, "Well, you focus on Mike Perry, and we'll talk about that afterwards. But right now, you've got a rivalry potentially brewing. You've got a platform, and you've got a business model that's starting to take shape. And Netflix would love to get in on this because this will definitely raise the eyebrows of Dana White, the UFC, and a whole bunch of other people already actively involved in the world of combat sports. So just think about this for a second, guys. This isn't just about who wins the fight. This is about who is controlling the space. Because right now, MMA is simple. The UFC is at the top and everyone else is far behind. So Dana White has got the UFC so locked down, it's not even funny. And now he's talking about boxing. I mean, he's getting into boxing. I mean, but UFC is a lot different than boxing. Boxing has multiple promoters, they've got networks, they've got deals. But the MMA is completely wide open, right? Nobody really has truly challenged the UFC on that scale until now. Perhaps, maybe. But here's where it gets really, really interesting, right? I mean, you've got Jake Paul, you've got Most Valuable Promotions, Nikisa Bidarian, and now you got this gap, right? You got Netflix. Netflix gives them something that no other promotion has. They've got a global reach. They've got a built-in audience, guys. No pay-per-view barriers, nothing of the sort. That's a huge, huge deal. Because if they can deliver big fights directly to millions of viewers around the world, they don't need to follow some old, archaic type system anymore that can't even like pull together some kind of leverage. This will give them the leverage that they need. Fighters now have real options, big options. But here is the real question. Here's the real question. Does Nate Diaz even take the fight at this time? Because the last time this deal was very, very close to actually coming together, it fell apart because of money, right? It didn't come to fruition simply because the dollars weren't there, or the dollars weren't there that made either Nate Diaz or Jake Paul happy enough. But anyways, guys, look, that's been the story for years and years. And look, Jake Paul has wanted this MMA fight with Diaz a long time back, even going back to talks with the PFL, but the numbers didn't work, okay? And Diaz wanted more, right? The promotion itself couldn't meet those demands, and therefore we weren't able to get a fight. It's as simple as that, guys. But now, things are a little bit different, right? The situation is entirely different. There's big money at play, guys. Netflix money is a lot deeper. Their money line's a lot longer. The audience is bigger. The upside's higher. Now, if there was ever a time to make this fight happen, it's now. It's now. Jake Paul is almost healed up after his fight against Anthony Joshua, after he got his jaw busted in 2 places. He's had multiple surgeries, and now he's ready to go, guys. And this is where it all connects, because if Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz headlines an MMA card on Netflix and succeeds, if this succeeds, that's proof of concept, guys. There's your value proposition. No other, you don't need to say anything else, because look, you could show up to any other company. You don't need a UFC model anymore now. You got a model that's already proven itself. Now you've got big names, you've got big moments, and now you've got the right platform in its place. And suddenly, the monopoly conversation in MMA starts to shift entirely. Not overnight, not overnight. It will take a little bit of time, but it will start. And it's not going to start completely grassroots either, because it's already starting to carry a lot of momentum, a lot of hype, because this is what fans are wanting. This is what people are wanting. And look, this isn't about Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, too. Not so much. It's about a new lane, as I keep alluding to, opening up in combat sports. I talked about this in my last video, guys. This is where streaming platforms, influencers, fighters are all on the same path together, not on separate paths, but on the same path. And now they have even more control than ever before. And the real question comes down to is this just another crossover fight, or is this the start of a real change in how MMA actually works? This is the question that everybody needs to ask. I'm super excited about this, guys, because I think there's a lot of new opportunities that are going to come out. The space is continuing to evolve as we speak. I mean, let me know what you guys think. Would you actually watch Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz in MMA on Netflix? And more importantly, do you think Netflix can actually compete with the likes of the UFC? Just remember, Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing just signed one of the biggest stars in the UFC, Tom Aspinall, who is actually the current heavyweight champion of the UFC. And I mean, if you're Eddie Hearn, you're watching this intentively. You're watching this very, very carefully, because you want to see how this plays out. If Jake Paul and Netflix are able to do real good business together, if they can actually pull this off, holy schmoly, guys, UFC is going to have some competition. And then you're going to have guys, other promoters like Eddie Hearn wanting to jump in. And I'm pretty sure Jake Paul would be open to working with these other promoters as well, too, because Jake Paul wants to stick it to Dana White. And Dana White, you know, deep down doesn't really like Jake Paul either. But in fact, a lot of these promoters dislike one another. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens, guys. But Jake Paul, Nate Diaz, too, this time in an Octagon, I'm all in. I'm already ready to go. I want to see this fight, and I want to see it now. So let me know, guys, in the thoughts and comments what you guys think. Please don't forget to smash a like and subscribe. Hit the notifications so you guys never miss a beat. And as usual, I look forward to catching you guys in tomorrow's video.